Hi, welcome to Living Plant-Based with Gareth and Jeanne across the pond. And let me introduce Gareth to you. Gareth helps people to reduce or eliminate their high blood pressure through his no meds method. You can find more about that through his Facebook page, Gareth R. See, I remembered, Davies. And you can also schedule time with him, and I'll put that down below.
Yes, that's great, Jeanne. Thank you. And of course, you're Dr. Jeanne Schumacher, founder of the Weight Loss Advantage, and also coming soon, the Pregnancy Advantage.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to actually hearing about that, because talking about it a couple of times, I know I'm not a woman. I know I'm not getting ready to be pregnant, but it is of an interest, of course, to many guys too. So I think that'll be fantastic when you publish that. Yeah.
Well, you can find more about all these programs that I have at simplyplantbased.net.
Good point.
All
And
right.
by the way, I love your background, Jeanne. I've just got this rather ailing plant here, but simplyplantbased.net, you got it all up there. Well done.
Right. Coronavirus update. What's going on in Norway?
In Tromsø, where I live, right up in the north, in the Arctic Circle, there's only 75,000 people, and I think we have, I don't know, quite a high number of infected people, and a sort of relative passed away a couple of days ago, had underlying issues, of course. Well, I say, of course, there's also some young people dying at the moment around the world, but yes, we got to take it seriously. It's certainly picking up pace in the States by the look of it.
I'm in the hot spot. I'm in New York. They want to cordon off. There's states now saying, if you from New York, go back. Get out of here. We don't want you.
Yeah.
It's like the Wuhan of the United States. So if you do get it, here's a recommendation. Obviously you're going to want to help to build up your body so that if you do get it, that you can resist it. Okay. I'm sure you've heard tons of stuff, wash your hands, all that. Yeah, we're not going to repeat that here. But if you do get it, just get into bed, pull the covers over your head. When you stick your head up, drink some water. That's it. Don't eat. That's it. You'll know when your body's ready to eat, and just let your body's defenses fight it off.
And before you get it, just build your immune system up as much as you can by eating plant-based.
Right.
Yes.
Whole food, plant-based.
Yes.
Yep. No question about it, because that's how you're going to, and a lot of the people that are dying are having compromised immune systems. They're having problems, so it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So, you want to keep your body as healthy as possible so that if you do, I've heard people say that it's like somebody taking a shovel and hitting you in the chest, and it just knocks you down. You have a hard time breathing. And, if you have a hard time breathing, that kind of stops your world. So,
well, I've been helping a couple of people in the last 7 to 10 days on making sure they're eating in the best way possible for their immune system, to keep their immunity as in good working order as possible. And it's not just down to the food; it's down to their sleep, it's down to their stress levels, it's down to their obviously the way they eat, their exercise, all sorts of things.
4 pillars, basically food, exercise, meditation, and stress. So anyway, paleo versus keto.
Woohoo!
We're in. I'm in. Because and honestly, anytime you get across some of these people, wow, yeah, it's hard talking to them. It really is. But let's talk about, first of all, I'll talk about the paleo. You can do the keto.
Okay.
And so paleo is, kind of like something like we're trying to approximate like what we ate in the Paleolithic era, which goes back 2.5 million years ago to like about 10,000, that range. So, we're basically looking at foods that include lean meats, fish, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, things that could be obtained, by gathering, hunting, that kind of thing. And the paleo diet also limits foods that are common once like farming began, we started farming more or less about 10,000 years ago. So from that point on to the future, anything that emerged from that, so that would be things like dairy, dairy products, legumes, and grains. So the focus is no sugar, no grains, dairy, legumes, or beans. No highly processed cookies or cakes, and no foods with added hormones or artificial ingredients. So, if you're thinking about what's like on the paleo menu, think like meat, fish, vegetables, limited amount of fruits, nuts, and seeds. Okay. Well, if you do the paleo diet, you're going to lose weight just because you're cutting out a lot of the crap, from what you normally eat. Okay. You're going to lose weight. No question. But there's some problems with this inherent. First of all, you're excluding like cereal grains, that's like wheat, rye, barley, oats, corn, brown rice, things like that, just to name a few. The problem is these are phenomenal sources of like fiber, B vitamins, iron, magnesium, selenium, things like that. Grains are phenomenal to help our body control sugar, lower blood cholesterol, fight chronic diseases, without question. If you don't have enough carbohydrates in your diet, your body's going to turn, it turns both the body fat and muscle. It converts it to energy. This results in breaking down muscle mass, and that's going to increase our metabolism and help us burn more calories per day. Okay, that's great, but you're going to have feeling of fatigue, exhaustion throughout the day, and especially during exercises, because these are like signs of your muscle being broken down. Another issue is saturated fats, and there's a huge issue with this. First of all, let's look at the meat today versus 10,000 years ago. The meat that you're being exposed to today is filled with hormones. Even if it's grass fed, and I don't care if you went out and petted the cow every day, it's still going to have hormones in it because you pretty much can't find that today. And all the additional chemicals, and then what are they feeding the cow? Because what they're feeding the cow, you're going to be getting inherently. So most cows are not going out and feeding on the grass range like they did 10,000 years ago. So, so there's definitely some issues with that. But so consuming high amounts of foods that have saturated fats can increase the risk of kidney and heart disease, as well as certain types of cancers. So that's not a good thing as well. If you're eating high amounts of red meat and things that are high in fat, that's going to increase your LDL. That's the bad cholesterol, and it's going to be risking bowel cancer, So, I mean, as per the American Heart Association, the adult shouldn't consume more than 13 grams of saturated fat per day. On a paleo diet, saturated fat could approach upwards of 50 grams of fat a day, So, this, I don't know. Categorizing foods into like good and bad categories, it's just not going to work. Especially today, when we've got the food supply has been so adulterated.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Jeanne. And I can't say that there's much difference really in a ketogenic diet. It's very similar in many areas, except whenever I run across people who are on a keto diet, short for ketogenic, they focus on that bit, on that word, and what that is actually doing in their body, which again is low carbohydrate, and it's forcing the body to use fat for calories rather than carbohydrates. So very similar, but they do it in such a way where it creates ketones, which have to be cleaned up by the liver, of course, and the fat gets broken down by the liver. And I think both of these, the paleo and the keto diet, more the keto diet, I say has a place, or may have a place for some people who really want to lower their blood pressure, or they want to lose weight quickly, and if they, and it can give them a bit of momentum. I tell you what I liken it to. I liken it to, in a quote, a vegan diet, man-made meats. You know, the fake
Yeah.
sausages, and they're like transition foods. We've spoken about that before, and I see the ketogenic diet as possibly being used as a transition for someone who's in pretty bad health, maybe with their weight or their blood pressure or their blood sugar, and they want to lower those things, and they want to do it quickly, and perhaps doing that for 4 or 5 days, and then having a less radical diet, and then maybe doing it again for 4 or 5 days, a month later. Maybe that'll be okay for a short while, like a transition period, but to stay for weeks in ketogenesis,
Oh,
and to keep repeating it, in my opinion, yes, it will lower blood pressure, it will lower weight a lot of time, people will lose weight, and it will lower blood sugars, but it is going to lead to much bigger problems with kidneys and heart and livers, and heart disease in the future.
right.
That's my opinion.
Kidney
Yeah.
stones. Ooh, that's a big one.
Ooh, I've never had them. I've heard about them, and I've seen it demonstrated where, a little tiny stone is trying to pass through something much smaller, and I've been told it's one of the most painful situations you can have in.
I don't know. I'm going with pregnancy as being the most painful.
Yeah, you
Just
think
saying,
so?
but
I'm not so sure about pregnancy. It doesn't seem like a big deal, really. You know.
from your end, yeah.
Well, the way I look at it is this: it can't be that much of a deal because, women get pregnant, and then they decide to do it again. So it couldn't have been that bad the first time, could it?
Yeah. Yeah. Just think trying to pass. Let me give you an example. Just try and pass a watermelon. Think about that.
I guess it depends how hard the watermelon is, doesn't it? But, hey.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
So yeah, diet with no bread, no pasta, no rice. It just doesn't make sense to me on a long-term basis. It doesn't make sense to me on a short-term basis either. But because I think there's other ways to lose weight and lower. Well, I know there's other ways to lower your weight, lower your blood pressure, lower your blood sugar, which include eating bread and pasta and rice. But
Well, I've
it
also
doesn't
heard
make
of the
sense.
keto flu. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't. No.
The keto flu is kind of like you feel like you have flu-like symptoms because that's when you're in ketosis. You don't feel good. I
Yeah.
mean, when you start to go into ketosis, you're not going to feel good, and there's a good chance for diarrhea.
Hmm.
I mean, and you're not going to be performing at your best. That's for sure. Like
I have
athletically,
heard a lot of people getting headaches when
yeah,
they take that. Of course, you look at the amount of water that's going in with their food, which is almost nothing, and they're going to be dehydrated too.
yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go into ketoacidosis, you're going to have dry mouth, frequent urination, you know, bad breath. Oh my God. I've been around some people that have been doing keto, and you're just kind of like, well, like back away, like social distancing. Good. Yeah. Thank God. But and they tend to want to be like right in your face talking, and their breath is just like, oh,
Yeah.
have you ever experienced that?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh, it's bad. And then have you heard about keto crotch?
Yeah, but I was hoping you'd bring that up rather than me, to be honest.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
I mean, it changes the pH, of a woman's, uterus back,
Mhm.
it changes that. And when you change that level of pH, it's going to start to smell. And it's not a pleasant smell. A pH imbalance can cause bad bacteria to grow,
Mhm.
causing irritation and odors in the vaginal area. So yeah, and then that opens you up for bacterial infections like UTIs, urinary tract infections. If you've never had one of those are special.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Painful, I
No.
would imagine.
They can be extremely painful,
Uh-huh.
and they can quickly up escalate to the point where you are hospital bound. And especially in light of what's going on in the world today, hospitals, I cannot say I recommend them.
Well, I mean, I think it's amazing what's happening. I saw. I don't really watch the news, and I particularly try to avoid it at the moment. But I caught 5 minutes of it today and saw in the some big arena in London, the O2 Arena. There's something. Is it 1,000 or 2,000 beds going in there? They've turned the O2 Arena into a hospital, or turning it into a hospital. The same is happening with the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, 70,000 seater stadium, and I don't know how many beds are going in there. And out in Llanelli, out in West Wales, there's the Scarlet Stadium also being turned into makeshift hospitals, because in the UK they know that there's more people gonna be needing help. And they're recalling police officers, they're recalling retired medical staff, doctors
Hmm.
and nurses, and probably the same in America. I don't know, but that's what's happening in the UK. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Well, let's change the conversation because I'm sure everybody's like, I don't know
yeah,
about you. I'm sick of the coronavirus. I'm so sick of listening to it and talking about it.
mm-hmm.
But let's talk about reading labels.
Yeah. I love reading labels. Yeah.
Yeah, because well, for the most part, I choose foods that don't have labels. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
so that's the best way to go. Is you get
Yeah.
foods with no labels. But sometimes we do need to look at the labels to see what we're getting inside. And sometimes there's some processed foods that are okay. I mean, they're not the best. It's best if we can just stick with whole food plant based. But sometimes processed foods are nice. Like we talked about pasta earlier. Every once in a while, I'll go and have some pasta and I'll
Mm-hmm.
make I love mac and cheese. Well, I make now mac and no cheese. But I have a fabulous recipe and I make mac and no cheese, and that's my guilty treat, because
Yeah.
pasta is a little bit processed, more on the processed side. So I try not to eat it very much, and it's also very high caloric density, so not great for weight loss, but it's a great comfort food, especially nowadays. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like literally going into this, I'm basically in lockdown, and going into this, it just overwhelmed me, and I just said I got to go make some pasta, and I did, and I had a couple bowls. I have no shame. So I ate a couple bowls of it, but I felt better. I did,
Yeah.
just because I could do something in my environment that I could control, you know?
Well, I would say
So,
from the label reading point of view, I learned from a guy called Jeff Novick,
yeah, he's amazing.
and he's an awesome guy. But he produced a video series on actually on CDs, probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. It was fantastic, and he kept it so simple, how you can read a label and very quickly decide whether you pick that product up and put it in your basket, or you put it straight back on the shelf.
Hmm.
And right now, that it was a 2 CD series that is available for free for the rest of this month. I don't know if you know that.
Yes.
Jeff's made that available on vegsource.com. So if you go on vegsource.com, you can take a look at his label reading session, and it's fantastic. And it really keeps it very, very simple. Sorry, it's not the label reading, is it? It's the fast food he's made. Jeff Novick's fast food,
Right.
and at the same time he taught me about the label reading, and so it
Yeah.
makes it. I keep it so simple in this house. And I know you've been and found something to look at, and you challenged me to do the same thing as well. And I found it quite difficult in this house to find something. But yeah, let you talk about
Well,
what you looked
I
at first.
periodically, every once in a while, and I do this only as a very once in a great blue moon treat, that I will take this to what I call the carnivores, my family. So
Oh yeah, it's like the what is it? We call them like the mafia. That TV program, with the mafias in oh
okay,
the something, the name of the family.
The
No,
Sopranos.
there you go, The Sopranos. That's right. Yeah, that's what it
Okay,
reminded me of when you said your family are the
the carnivores.
carnivores. Yeah.
So I will take it to them, and I do that. I think almost for, I'm doing it for me, because if I don't have something there to eat, because I'll be the first to go, hi, I'm Jeanne Schumacher, I'm a food addict.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go to my family's gatherings, it's an unofficial contest to see who can bring the highest caloric density foods that are the worst for you ever, and that's what we grew up eating, my whole family, on both
Mm-hmm.
sides, both sides.
Yeah.
And so I will bring something that is a higher caloric density and something that I would not purchase on a day-to-day basis, because you're going to see why in a minute. So, but once, like once a year, I'll bring it to a family event, so I can have something that I think is like a really decadent treat for me, and I will have just a little bit, because I know how bad it is, but
Yeah.
you know, but for them, they'll scarf it down big time, no problem, no problem. Anyway, but this is called Kite Hill Chive Cream Cheese. So on the back of the label, it's interesting. In the US, they just changed the labels not too long ago. And they used to have calories and then calories from fat.
Yeah.
They took away the calories from fat, which is sad. Okay. So now we have to calculate that. So this Kite Hill cream cheese has 7 grams of fat in it. And it says it's 11% daily value. Okay. The daily requirement,
Yeah.
that this has. So this is 11% of the amount that you're okay. And that doesn't sound too bad. 11%. That's not too bad. Okay, fine. But I don't know what they're doing and how they're calculating this 11%, because according to my math, I don't know, maybe they're doing new math. I don't know. And I'm doing old math. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you look at, it's got 7 grams. So 7 times 9, because there's 9 grams per, 9 calories per gram. So that gives you 63 calories from fat. Okay. Now, if you take 63 calories from fat divided by 78 total calories, in my book, that's 81% fat. I'm not quite sure how they're doing this.
Well, one of the ways they do it, and which I'm reminded of you talking about then, again, I learned this from Jeff, was that, and he was using an example of salad dressing.
Yeah.
When this particular salad dressing was advertised as 10% of the calories from fat.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, what else is in there apart from fat? There's nothing else in there. And it was mainly water, and so he explained that 10% is by weight, for
Okay.
instance,
Okay.
so actually 100% of the calories are from fat, but it's 10% by weight. They just leave the by weight out of the advertising and marketing. And
It's
his
crazy.
first rule was never, ever, ever, ever believe what it says on the front of a packet.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the ingredients are not that bad. I mean, it's made of almond milk. It's made of salt, chives, an enzyme to help it to pull it together, xanthan gum, guar gum, white pepper, and lactic cultures. So overall, it's not, there's
Mm-hmm.
no oil, right? The sodium is a little bit high. There's 170 milligrams. So you want to
Mm-hmm.
have a 1-to-1 ratio,
Yep.
okay, of salt. Like if there's 78 calories, there should be 78 milligrams of salt or less.
Yes.
In this case, there is 170 milligrams per serving, and a serving size is 1 ounce. So yeah, that's a small amount. That's one cracker, one spreading of.
Who eats one cracker?
I
I mean.
not me. But anyway, but just comparing the calories, there's 78 calories in one serving. And so you want to have at least 78 milligrams of salt or less for a processed food. So this would be something that would raise my blood pressure without question. I mean, there's no oil in it, but there is a high amount of fat. That fat is coming from almonds, which is great. It's, it's a plant-based choice. But as clearly we can see, you're pretty much, and I can hear Dr. McDougall in my head. The fat you eat is the fat you wear.
Yes.
Yeah. So what'd you find?
Well, I did some. I found some wassa. I got it here. This packet. Wassa.
Well, I don't even have mine in the house. I just got a label from the internet.
It's these things I found. They've been in the drawer cupboard there for at least 12 months, and they're complete rubbish. But if my wife buys something, I don't tell her to take it back. Sometimes I can use it because I get the label and I can use it for this across the pond show.
Right. But those things are like shingles. You can use those.
I tell you what, I could put them on the wall. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
A bit of grout in either side. They'd be great in the bathroom, these. Yeah. If it's not got any water in it, that always, for one thing, just looking at it and knowing it's so dry, that would not encourage me to even pick it up. But then you look at the calories, 330 calories. It's okay because of the fat levels are all right, but it's actually the salt. When you look at the salt here, you got 1,000 milligrams of salt, so 3 times
the amount
that the top amount that we would expect to have, or is considered by the American Heart Association to be okay, the maximum amount.
If I ate one of those, my blood pressure would go through the roof. I'm so salt sensitive anyway.
So I went and looked up some other little figures. I'm just reading here about salt, and this is what I found fascinating: is where does our salt come from? The salt that we take in. Okay, 5% from home cooking. 5% from eating. When you put a bit of salt on top of your food.
Right.
12% naturally in the foods that we eat, and 77% either in processed foods or in restaurants, food put in restaurants. So when people go to the doctor, I get this on the people I talk to about their blood pressure quite often, and I say it's okay to put a bit of salt on your food. It's the processed stuff you want to stop eating, and you need to start looking at labels, like this, like the one that you have there, so that we're not taking in this massive amount of salt into our body, which we don't even taste. It's not like, oh, that tastes really great because they got a little, like chips. If you have you don't call them chips. What do you call them?
Potato chips?
Fries. No, not fries. Yeah. So if you have fries and you put a bit of salt on, they taste so nice, But that's okay. A little tiny bit of salt on. But if you go and have some like potato chips, you won't find any potato chips with the same amount of milligrams to calories in at all. It'll be way over. Goodness knows what that would be actually. So yeah, we got to learn to read these food labels.
Reading labels is massively important, and I can't say that enough. I went out, my husband and I went to a restaurant, I'm not going to say which, but we were in line, and it was a long line, thank goodness. And it was one of these kind of restaurants where you can go down and say, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Okay, fine. So I went through, and they had some choices. They had some beans, they had rice, they had salsa, and that was great. And I said, okay. So I went onto the app. I was bored, waiting in line, standing there, it was quite a long line. Thank goodness. I'm so glad, because I would have been in the emergency room. So we went through, I looked on the app and I put in, I'm going to get these beans, I'm going to get these beans, and I'm going to rice and the salsa and the guacamole and this and that and da 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 da. And at the end, It was 2.5 days of salt in one meal. One meal. If I ate that, I should have eaten it right in the parking lot of the emergency room, because I would have gone right inside afterwards.
You don't want to be doing that in these days either, Jeanne, because you might not still be waiting in a queue outside. Yeah, so
well, there is that. Fair
we
point.
really should look after ourselves now. Yeah,
it's true. And I remember when we moved into our house here, we bought this house and then gutted it, and then gutted the kitchen, gutted the bathroom. And it was, difficult to try and cook, while you have a gutted kitchen. So we were going out more than, normal, because we hardly go out at all. So we went to a little kind of a upscale fast food place, and I got black bean soup, a cup. I got a salad, and I brought my own dressing, and one cup, 8 ounces. I know that doesn't mean anything over across the pond. Small serving. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even get out to my car from eating that, because I made sure there was no animal products. I made sure there's no oil. There was no fat. I forgot to check the sodium.
Yeah.
And that one cup of soup, I had the worst blood pressure headache. I get blood pressure headaches, and most people don't get headaches or can feel any symptoms when they have high blood pressures, but I do. I get blood pressure headaches, and I know when I've eaten something with salt in it, like I get a headache right away. And because of my blood pressure, the pressure is getting so intense inside of my body that it just puts pressure in my head. And I went home, and literally, I took some extra, I had some, pills at the time. I had some diuretics to get rid of some of the fluid, but also I went and sat in my hot tub. My hot tub, that's a vasodilator. So it opens up and helps to, get the blood flowing back through.
Yeah.
So I went and sat in the hot tub for an hour, and, to try and and it helped to bring it down. But my head, I thought my head, it felt like an axe was splitting my head open so bad, because I'm so salt sensitive. And I'm someone who I can't even put any salt on my food, even just that little bit amount of sprinkling it, which for the average person, like my husband has zero issue. He reads low on blood pressure. I can't stand him sometimes, when we take his blood pressure, it's ridiculously low. So, he needs to eat salt and has to have some. So, and he will salt his food, but I want so bad to salt my food, and I can't, because if I do even just that little bit, so I don't cook it all with no salt. I don't cook at all with salt.
No.
And if it's going to be salted, it's going to be salted at the table, but I don't salt at the table either.
Well, guess what? The average suggestion, the limit is 250 milligrams a day. Okay, it's like 1 for 1. We're taking in about 2,500 calories, 2 to 2,500 calories. So 200 to 250 milligrams of salt is what's suggested. Okay.
Right.
What do you think? I looked up today, the average American takes in every day?
At least 3,000-4,000. I'm guessing
3 to 5,000 milligrams.
Oh, good.
Yeah, very good.
That would be 3 to 5 grams.
3 to 5,000 milligrams. Yeah, 3 to 5 grams. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the metric over there. You should be knowing that crap.
Yeah, I did say milligrams. I just didn't say it clear enough, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
That's huge.
It's huge. That's amount, and it's putting a huge amount of stress on your kidneys and your blood pressure, without question. Yep. And it's throwing out of balance. There's, in terms of cellular transport within your body, you have sodium and potassium, and that helps get things in and out of the cells. And if you're screwing up that balance and you have so much sodium, think about a seesaw. You got this seesaw going. If you've got so much sodium on one side and not enough potassium on the other, you're not going to have this balance. And so you're going to throw a lot of your body off. And that's what, part of a lot of our problems are. So. Well, Gareth?
Jeanne, I'd like to mention something, if I can, right at the very end here, is that at the beginning we talked about coronavirus, and I do joke with you that, I do get out skiing every day, but it's only a quick hour and a half. Most of the time I'm stuck in here like most people at the moment. So what I've decided to do is to give people a free phone call, like a lifestyle assessment, with
Right.
running over their diet, their movement, exercise,
Hmm.
sleep, rest, existing conditions, medications, stress, family history, genes, on a Zoom call. And I'm just going to offer that for 10 people, completely free. So this is the first time
Nice.
I've thought of this afternoon. I would do this because I know there's a lot of people home at the moment.
Well, how can they
So
contact you?
if there's anyone out there who wants to do that, they can contact me through the Facebook site, and
Okay.
just drop me
Gareth
a
R.
message.
Davies.
Gareth R. Davies at Facebook.
I
Oh,
remembered.
yes, you did. Well done.
Yeah,
So
you can't train an old dog, you know. It's true.
yeah,
So, anyway, always good to connect with you, and we'll see you back on the next show across the pond.
across the pond, absolutely.
Living plant-based.
Thanks, Jeanne. Always great to talk with you.
Great to talk with you. See you on the next show.
Bye now.